want to bring in Rob Taylor. He's the founder and owner of Smarter Team Training here in Baltimore. He was the head strength and conditioning coach at Loyola University here for a long time, many years. He's been a strength coach for the Anaheim Angels, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, many other teams, and he's uniquely qualified in the concussion. He speaks not only all over the country, all over the world when it comes to concussions with some unique insights. So he joined us. Good morning, Rob. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Steve, man. I appreciate the opportunity. It's you guys are definitely having a great show today, so I'm hopefully just able to contribute here a little bit.
You and I have talked about this, and one of the things, my daughter had a concussion a couple months ago, and what we find, she was diagnosed with a concussion, then we find out, well, concussion symptoms, but maybe more of a neck injury. One of the areas that your expertise you're really focusing on, and people all over the world want you to come speak about, is the whole notion of neck strengthening when it comes to the world of concussions.
Yeah, the one area that is not being addressed very commonly is definitely strengthening that head, neck, upper back, jaw region of the body. A lot of people are really emphasizing, putting, as you implied, putting a pad on the head or improving the quality of the helmet. But research is kind of showing that might not be the end-all, be-all type scenario. So we definitely implement a very hands-on approach when it comes to the head, neck, and upper back. I mean, I really take a big pride in that in our programming. I've done it through the college and the professional ranks, and now here working with everyone from the general population through military, Olympic athletes, etc. I don't care if you're a swimmer, a football player, a youth basketball, a young lady playing a sport that she's dedicated to. I think we need to really pay attention to that as a field of strength and conditioning experts. And I think it's something that's missed in a lot of programs. You
train at Smarter Team Training in Timonium. You train Olympic athletes, NFL players, Major League Baseball players, other professionals, and then you train high school and college kids around here as well. What are you guys doing, and what is it your belief with the neck programs that are probably going to catch on now all over the country and all over the world, frankly?
Yeah, the muscles of the neck are just like any other muscle of the body, but if you don't train them, they're not going to get stronger. And training has to be done in a progressive overload manner. So we actually will track the strength from neck flexion, neck extension, some type of lateral flexion, a shrug with two arms, a shrug with one arm, and then simple exercises, even laying on your back, if you're just laying on the floor with your hands and elbows that get 90 degrees, and just lifting your nose to the ceiling. We take some of our young athletes through, and I don't mean necessarily young in age, but just chronologically young from the training aspect. You'll find out that the muscles of their neck are not very strong. I mean, they can be fatigued, and you'll see them. They'll give you a bad body language real quick about how tired or fatigued that area of the body gets just from lifting your nose to the ceiling. There's little things that we can do that don't involve a lot of equipment, and then you can get into the complexities of working with some of these unbelievable athletes or people that are really dedicated to their health and their overall strength that we can implement here through our incredible machinery from Rogers Athletic and some of the other venues or equipment resources that we have here.
Curious, to call concussions an epidemic right now, is that an overreaction, or are we getting to those proportions?
To be honest with you, I like calling it an epidemic because I think it brings more visibility to it. If we try to sweep it under the rug, I think that's something that doesn't do us any good. If you blow your ACL out, and this 10, 15 years ago, this was a huge concern in our field, is how do we help reduce the risk of ACLs, and we put a lot of emphasis into that. I think we need to address this. I can fix or have an ACL fixed, not me personally, but we can send it to a doc and get that done. We cannot replace your brain, and I think we need to upgrade the awareness and the conscious ability to work with people who are interested in training this area of the body to help prevent or minimize the potential risk of brain trauma through a concussive or subconcussive force to the head.
Rob Taylor joins us. He's the founder of Smarter Team Training here in the Baltimore area, and SMARTER is an acronym for?
Speed, movement, agility, reaction, technology, education, and resistance. Education is a huge part of what we do, what separates us from a lot of people around the area, around the country. I make it a real big point to give back through our radio show, through interviews such as this, through writing blogs and articles and that type of thing, and speaking around the world. And it's very important that I give back to the field. And I've been very blessed to be able to do a lot of cool things, see a lot of cool countries, work with a lot of incredible people, and I just think it's my due diligence to pay it back.
When we talk about, we always talk about football. Now, I had kids that played soccer. They're kind of beyond the age of being really, really young. But we see so much with football. How much should parents be concerned about other sports, and what are the other sports that you're seeing a lot of concussions in that don't get talked about as much because the kids don't grow up and become professional athletes?
Yeah, statistically, football is not the number one concussion sport per capita of people playing. I'll just give you a heads up. You just had Coach Durkin on the phone. They just put in 4-way necks from Rogers Athletic into their training facility. That's how important it is in their training as far as what's going on at the college level. They're doing a lot of this. Football just has a lot of prominence, so it's getting a lot of visibility, and I'm glad that it's doing that. But if you look at youth, female, girl basketball is the number one most common head trauma type scenario. And if you go around and go to any practices, or if you go to 99% of the facilities where they're getting trained at, quote unquote trained at, nobody's addressing that area. They're talking about jumping and landing, probably not even the landing aspect. But there's more things that we need to do there. I mean, you're looking at we're getting to the competitive postseason for high school basketball, and we're starting up with lacrosse, male and female. And I wonder how many of those athletes in this area really have done a good job of training their neck. I mean, we have research articles that say if we can increase by 1 pound their strength of their musculature of their neck, that we can reduce their risk of potential head trauma or concussions potentially by 5%. I mean, that's not a lot of effort or effort that goes into it to get a lot of reward on the back end.
I guess my question is, in a sport like football, which is so violent, how much, and you were just going through statistically, but how much can we prevent concussions?
If there's a concussive force, I think this is where the gray area, and this is a great question, this is where the gray area is. If there's a concussive force, you cannot prevent that. If you are struck in the head hard enough to get a concussed brain, you will have a concussion, similar to an ACL tear. You can do as much quote-unquote prevention you would like, but if you put the leg in a valgus, internally rotated position, the ACL is potentially going to tear. But if we're talking about subconcussive forces, those slight impacts over time that may not produce a concussive-like symptom, that is going to be what churns potentially emotion or relationship status is another thing that we potentially could minimize that trauma to the brain by increasing the strength of the neck. If you're talking about football in particular, and then we'll talk about helmet sports, if you add an implement to the head, the neck then also has to become exponentially even stronger because the girth or the mass of the head now has also increased. Thus, the inertia hitting something else, whether it's a fist or another helmet, another body, now that has also increased. So if your child is playing a sport where they're wearing a helmet, and that includes goggles or anything else that is attached to the head, you have to emphasize strengthening the neck even more, in my opinion. Rob
Taylor joins us right here on the Norris and Davis Show. You are active when it comes to providing resources for people for training, various, online, Twitter. You have blogs, you have a website. What's the best way for people to see some of the resources that you're providing?
Yeah, the easiest way is go to smarterteamtraining.com, which is the website. But I'm very, very active on social media, and I'm going to even try to post a couple of articles here for you guys, and the research side of things on our Twitter feed is at SmarterTeam. We do a great job of posting pictures if people want to see pictures on Instagram at SmarterTeamTraining. And if they want to reach out to me directly, I will answer any question, and I will stay here late, as you and I did yesterday, Steve. Coach Taylor at SmarterTeamTraining.com is my direct email, and I have no problem publicly saying that if I can help one individual prevent something that is, as you implied, an epidemic in the head, brain concussion type scenario, I think I've done my job on a daily basis then.
I got one more for you because you are very innovative when it comes to training. So what are some of the innovations in training that you anticipate people are going to start learning about in the years to come?
And one thing that you really enjoyed, I think, yesterday was just getting a chance to see the technology that we use here, from tracking bar speed to monitoring range of motion to actually providing video feedback. We live in a world now where these young athletes are getting constant feedback, instantaneous feedback from whether it's Snapchat or whatever else we got going on here, to be able to provide that back to those individuals in a training sense to really help their form or to understand why we are not moving up weight or why we're moving down weight or why we're limiting the range of motion, et cetera, et cetera. Or when we move into dynamic type stuff like basketball shooting or lacrosse shooting or defensive positions, the technology aspect of this is going to be huge. The mental prep game is going to be huge. Understanding the concept of recovery is going to be gigantic. We can go on and on about the conversation between recovery versus overtraining. So there's a lot of things there that are just above and beyond the old school 3 sets of 10 on the bench that we can really do to help the individuals perform better on game day and also be more healthy doing it.
Thank you, Rob, very much. Appreciate it. So Rob Taylor from...
Have a great day.